Hello and welcome to another episode of Unstuck with Hypnopunk Transformation with Edge. Today's episode is about symbols and why they are so important to you and your process of change and inspiration in life. But before we get into that, I'd like to thank any and all of you that have left reviews on iTunes, Google Play, on YouTube, that have liked, shared, left 5-star reviews. It makes me happy, it makes my day, it makes me want to put more of this content out there for free. Please keep doing that with your 5-star reviews. And also, to sweeten the deal, if you are enjoying these podcasts, and why wouldn't you, because you're listening to them, please do leave your 5-star reviews. Take a snapshot of them and send me an email at mail, M-A-I-L, at LUKENOSIS, LUKENOSIS.com, and you will get a complimentary 30-minute power session with me, a 30-minute unstuck session. Here's what the session isn't. It isn't a hypnotherapy session. It is not a session to hear you bitch and complain. It is not a therapy session. It's just where you get me for 30 minutes, either over Skype or telephone if you're in Ontario, where I help you to become unstuck in an area of your life, give you some pearls of wisdom, some inspiration, some unstick formula to move forward into the light. That being said, back on with the show. Symbols. So what are symbols? Well, symbols are anything that represents something else to you. They're almost like a normalization of a process, if you will, to use NLP terminology. What do I mean by that? Now, if you are religious then and you are a Christian and you have a cross, then when you see that cross, it reminds you of a lot of things, some empowering, potentially some disempowering. But you just see the cross, you know what it means. For my Jewish listeners, when you see the Star of David, it means something to you that ideally empowers you. For other people, when they see the symbol of a swastika, which interestingly enough, before Hitler and the Nazis used that as a symbol of hate and fear, it was actually an ancient symbol, when it was the other way around, of peace and harmony. But a lot of people don't realize that. So two different types of people are going to see a swastika, one very destructive and negative, and to some people very positive, very, very peace orientated. For some people, that symbol might be an item of jewelry that they wear around their necklace or around their wrists, or potentially on their fingers, like a ring. They may see it, it just may remember them, remind them of when they get married. All the wedding ring is really is a symbol. It's a symbol of unity. It's a symbol of love with your partner. That ring, you look at it, it reminds you that you've got this great partnership, this loving partnership, that you're in love and you've got this bond. It's a symbol. Symbols are all around us and are a metaphor. There's something that's basically frozen in time, if you will, normalization of something that when you see it, ideally good symbols will motivate you, inspire you to do good work on yourself and other people, and negative symbols, and there are many out there, will inspire you in the wrong way to do not so good things. And today's podcast is about the good things. Symbols can also be tattoos. They can be tattoos that you have that mean something to you, that empower you. I'm going to share some of my symbols with you today, and I urge you to look at your own symbols in life, clear up any negative ones you might have, and make sure you have these positive ones to get you through the day and keep you on task, to keep you on track. To identify those if you don't already have them, and if you do have them, to identify them, and if you don't have them, go out and get some symbols to help to keep you on your path. So my first symbol that I'll share with you, and there's some videos of this, if you've ever seen me live or in any of my videos, you'll see that I have what appears to be sex written on my wrist. It's not sex, it's S with a big X and an E. What it means is straight edge. And what straight edge is for me, growing up, I had a dad that still does drink and smoke way too much, and I made a conscious decision at a very young age to not go down that path. And I think I've drank less than 5 times in my life and haven't had any alcohol for about 20 years now. And I'm not here to judge people who do drink alcohol or don't drink alcohol. If you want to drink alcohol and you're cool with it and your life's great, continue to do it. I'm not here to say you need to be straight edge and say I am better than you, although CM Punk is. But the straight edge reminds me that I live lived this lifestyle that at the time when I was young, it was not the cool life to lead, but I'd fallen into this because I did not want to replicate stuff that my dad was doing, and have that lifestyle in my life. And it always reminded me that I chose to go down a very different path, and it would have been very easy if we believe that, you know, it's inherent in families that if somebody is addicted, an elder, a parent, a caregiver, that you're more inclined to be addicted. I chose to throw that one out of the window very, very early on in life. So straight edge means that to me. And I didn't realize about the term straight edge, which is actually comes from punk music, which was what happened in the early 90s is underage kids would go to punk music, punk rock festivals, punk rock bars, and they were allowed to go into these bars. But what the barkeep would do, or the bouncers, they would take a Sharpie permanent marker and draw an X on the back of their hand, which would simulate to the barkeep to not serve them any alcohol because they were underage. And this spawned a whole movement of youngsters being able to go to punk rock music to enjoy it, but not to drink alcohol. A whole movement came out of this, of really being able to enjoy music, enjoying punk music, but being able to do it in a sober state without any drugs, and making that choice and it being a cool thing. And it got brought over to me that one of my favorite wrestlers was a guy called CM Punk, and he'd be talking about this straight edge thing, and I realized, hey, I've been living my life straight edge pretty much my whole life before I knew it was a thing. And so that's one of the symbols I have of straight edge. I have multiple tattoos on me that symbolize the Matrix, which is certainly one of my top 3 movies. I have the red pill, I have the blue pill, I have the Matrix plug on the back of my neck, and I have the Matrix green writing going down my forearm. And what that is oftentimes when I attempt to tell people what I do, I've boiled it down to I help people unplug from the Matrix. So the red pill and the blue pill is essentially, if you've seen the movie, and I have these tattooed on my lower wrists as well to the side, is the red pill is truth. It's even though you may not like the truth or being given the truth, the red pill is the truth and seeing the world and seeing yourself for who you are, versus the blue pill, which is you can continue to be comfortable and not see your problems, but they're there and you know they're in the background, but you're choosing never to face up to them. And you're choosing a life of being comfortable and going along to get along like sheeple, as opposed to being honest with yourself and the world, taking that red pill, even though it may be uncomfortable at times. That's what it means to me. It's what the symbol means to me. It empowers me in my work, in my relationships with people. The plug at the back of my neck is to remind myself to become unplugged, that I'm not part of the machine, that I'm going down a different path, that I choose to unplug, that I choose to go down this path to heal people, to help people, to inspire people to become even more than they believe they can become, that they have the power to overcome anything in their life. That's what the plug was for me. It's about throwing away social media, and it's about not being influenced by all these negative sounds, all these sounds that are out there that are trying to control us, to make us feel not so good about ourselves, and we don't have this many fans, or we only have this many likes on our Instagram or our Facebook posts, or we only have this many followers on Twitter, and media is real, and everything that we read in newspapers or we see on TV is absolutely real. We know it's bullshit. That reminds me that the world is essentially just an illusion. It's just an illusion. You can choose an illusion of things are successful and the world is a good place, or the world is a negative place and you're just a fucking loser. You can choose. They're both essentially a hallucination. Neither is necessarily real. It depends what perspective you're looking at. But it reminds me of my own perspective, and to walk of the beat of a different drummer, to go the opposite way that most people do, to leave a trail behind for other people to follow and become empowered. I have the always believe tattooed on me, and if you've ever received an email from me or I sign out from these podcasts, I'll say always believe. Again, it comes from being inspired by my favorite wrestler growing up, a guy called the Ultimate Warrior, and I've talked about him before in videos ad nauseum, but his phrase was always believe, and it wasn't about believing in him, God, or anyone else, as my always believe doesn't. It's not about believing in me, that I am great, that I am magnificent, that I am your guru. It's not about believing in that. It's about about believing yourself, inspiring yourself to always believe that you have the power to overcome everything. That's why I end my emails, sign off the way. It's why I sign off these podcasts. It's why it's written on my arm to remind me of these things. Another symbol I have on the opposite forearm to always believe is unbreakable. Yes, it's one of my favorite movies with Bruce Willis, a M. Night Shyamalan movie that they're going to be making a sequel to soon. It's actually a superhero movie, but you don't realize it's a superhero movie until the end. Sorry, I should have said spoiler first, but the movie has been out about 18 years now, so I think the deadline for that is done. Unbreakable for me is about becoming unbreakable in my character, in my personality, no matter what the world throws at me, whatever the world says I should be or conform to. It's about being unbreakable in my beliefs and what I think I should do in my character, and imparting that upon the people that I love and the people that hire me to help them to become unbreakable in their own life, to help people discover the superhero that's been hidden inside that you don't find until the last scene in a movie. And it's about helping people find that unbreakable character within themselves way before the last scene of their movie in their life, to find it out as soon as possible, so they can start to live that superhero lifestyle. On my left elbow, it's an A for anarchy. Now, do I believe we should burn down the world and create violence? No, no, no. But again, it comes back to this belief that you're empowered to live your own life, and as long as you're not going out there intentionally breaking laws and hurting people, you should be able to do whatever the fuck that you want to do. Very, very punk rock, and live your life the way you want to live your life, no matter what polite society says that you should do. That's what the A for anarchy means. On the opposite forearm, it is a spider web. Now, I found out later on that oftentimes people who went to prison have a spider web, and that's what it can mean. I have not been to prison. I have no intention of being into prison. I don't think that's all it means. But on my opposite forearm, it's a spider web. And again, it reminds me not to get caught up in the web of lies, the web of nonsense that's being weaved around us with media, with social media, with people. It reminds me not to get caught up in that sticky web of other people's limitations. Even clients at times will try to get me caught up in the story of why they're, in their own words, broke or unfixable. And me being somebody that's very empathetic in the past could have got dragged in and sucked into that and not been able to help them to deliver the result to them that they want. And it always reminds me to not get stuck up in the bullshit, to be unstuck from that web, whether it's the web of our mind, the web of social media, or fake news. I have a superhero, the Justice League, tattooed on the knuckles of my right hand. These are symbols of the Flash, speed, of the Green Lantern, using imagination to create things, of Batman, of being that lone dark crusader, of Superman essentially being godlike, to remind me of to unleash that power whenever I can. That when you combine certain forces, certainly certain forces like your conscious and unconscious mind, when they're in tandem together, they become greater than being singular. Superman becomes greater when he is with Batman, when he is with the Flash, when he is with Green Lantern, and as they all do, they're all powerful in and of themselves. But when you create that force, that combination of conscious mind, unconscious mind, all those parts inside you working in unity, there's nothing you can't do. That's what it symbolizes to me, at least. On my other arm, my other forearm, is what appears to be a Terminator arm with Terminator knuckles, and it reminds me again a little bit. The symbol it symbolizes to me is that underneath all this, I'm adamantium, for my Wolverine fans out there. That I am made of steel. That no matter what happens, that I have that strength, that steel, that adamantium. That I am unbreakable. That I can do anything, and it looks pretty fucking cool as well. So that's my robot arm. That's the symbol. That's what it symbolizes to me. A lot of people just get these tattoos, or they wear this jewelry or the rings. It doesn't mean anything to you. Have stuff that means stuff to you, that inspires you. I like to look at my arms, my body, and not be conceited, but it reminds me of what I'm doing, and it empowers me to go and make change in my life and other people's life, to be that real world superhero or anti-superhero that's so cool, like Deadpool. On my inner left bicep, it is a scorpion. Why is it a scorpion? One of my other favourite wrestlers was Sting growing up, and Sting was the Ultimate Warrior's partner for a while, and he had this amazing physique and this amazing face paint, and his trademark was a scorpion. His finishing hold was the Scorpion Deathlock, where he'd make other wrestlers submit, or the Scorpion Death Drop, where he would drop people in a reverse DDT. And he was one of my favourite wrestlers in the height of wrestling fandom for me, which was in the mid to late 90s, in an era called the Attitude Era, where WCW which was always his distant number two company in wrestling in North America, overtook World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, for at least 83 weeks in a row, and was the ultimate wrestling organization with the biggest stars and most exciting show in Monday Nitro. And it reminds me of, no matter how big this conglomerate is out there, like WWE, there was a company that could come and for 83 weeks, for almost 2 years, could be the number one organization, and its number one star was a guy that was there from the beginning and to the end, a guy called Sting, who was essentially an Avenger and was based on the Crow character from one of my favorite movies. Which takes me on to the outside shoulder. Is there any other kind of shoulder? On my right arm, which is the Crow, from the movie The Crow, with the fire around it. The Crow is my favorite movie growing up and still is, and essentially it's a dark gothic superhero movie before we had all these Marvel and DC movies. It's very good. It's a very adult orientated movie, and it is a superhero movie, if you will, and at its fundamental level, it is a beautiful love story about somebody that comes back because they cannot rest their soul in purgatory, and they have to put down the wrongs that happened to him, the main character Eric Draven, the late great Brandon Lee, and his wife, that were killed in the beginning of the movie. So for their souls to be reunited together, for them to transcend, he has to come back into this mythological figure called the Crow, and it's filled with grunge music, like 9 Inch Nails and Alice in Chains, some of my favorite music of the era and still now, and just a really, really cool superhero with a cool gothic gritty look. And it just reminds me, the quote of the movie is, real love is forever. And despite all the special effects and the cool soundtrack, that's what it means to me. It means real love is forever and will overcome everything. On my outside, is there any other shoulder on my left arm, is the Ultimate Warrior's face paint. Again, I've talked about the Ultimate Warrior ad nauseum, but my favorite wrestler. Before I had superheroes, I had wrestling, and this guy had amazing physique. He would shake the ropes. He had such energy. He'd even beat Hulk Hogan clean in the Toronto Sky Dome, which is now just a stone's throw away from where I live now in Toronto. And he just inspired me so much with the always believe and believing in yourself and training and exercising and intrusity and having discipline and being strong in your own life and not taking shit from anyone. So that's why I have the Ultimate Warrior's face paint signature on my other shoulder. On the inside of my right bicep, it says FTW, fuck the world. And it reminds me of, it's a biker brand, but I got it again inspired from wrestling. FTW, there was a wrestler called Taz, T-A-Z, in ECW, which was the most rebel, cutting-edge wrestling, third biggest organization in North America, that much of their ideas were used, were stolen, were modeled by the WWE to create the Attitude Era, which was the biggest boom period in wrestling. And the FTW was fuck the world, and there was this wrestler called Taz who was marketed as being this ultimate fighter, this ultimate machine that was undefeatable, and everyone else was fake, but this guy called Taz, he was real. And he couldn't get a title shot for many, many years. So he ended up developing his own title and defending it, called the FTW, the Fuck the World title. And it always stuck with me. It always inspired me. It's the way that I live my world, is fuck the world. Do what you need to do. Do what is right for you, as long as you're not intentionally hurting other people. Have your path. Fuck the world. Fuck the naysayers, and do what you need to do. And that's what the Fuck the World FTW means to me, being the FTW champion. I also have stars on the front of my torso, from my left clavicle to my right clavicle, and it's 5 stars of different colours: a black with a red outline, a red with a black outline, a black with a black outline, a black with a red outline, a red star with a black outline. Anyways, forget about all that. What does it mean? 5 stars. 5 stars. Yes, 5 stars. It reminds me of a couple of things. There's a guy called Dave Meltzer who he's the #1 wrestling journalist for the past 30 years, giving insider information on professional wrestling. And when Dave would not often give 5 stars. 5 stars would be the best match it could be. You could only have 5 stars, okay? So when Dave Meltzer would give a wrestling match 5 stars, it would hold a lot of water. It would mean a lot because he didn't often give these out. And the Wrestling Observer newsletter is all about talking about the backstage stuff that's happening in wrestling. Not kayfabe as we call it, pretending that everything's real, but what's happening backstage of wrestling, what matches are coming, why are these guys being put together. But when Dave would give a 5 stars, it was the highest rating a match could have, and wrestlers would read the wrestling newsletter and still do, even though the owners of the organization perhaps didn't like it and would poo-poo it. But when wrestlers would see their match got 5 stars from an independent journalist, it would mean so much to them that their matches got 5 stars by Dave Meltzer, because his opinion meant so much. So that's what the 5 stars mean to me. It's always about giving a 5-star performance, whether I'm with a client one-on-one, whether I'm giving a talk, whether I'm giving a podcast, whether I'm writing an article, whatever I'm doing, it's about giving that 5-star WrestleMania level Tokyo Dome performance. So those are my symbols. Those are the stories behind my symbols. I do not say this to try and impress you, although I did hope it entertained you and helped your mind work a little bit. I say it for you to focus on the things that you wear, the tattoos that you have, what they mean. I also wear rings, and these rings mean something to me. Necklaces mean something to me. I wear a necklace that symbolizes the DNA profile of serotonin. It reminds me to stay happy. I have another necklace that is the DNA strand of dopamine, which reminds me to feel love, to be grateful, to be excited about life. These are the things that I wear that mean something to me. But what symbols do you currently have that you wear around your necklace, your rings, your bracelets, tattoos? What do they mean to you? What are stuff that you go out and invest in that will empower you? It's a bit of tattoo that you've been holding off because you've been indecisive. Oh, what if I make a mistake? So what? What if you do make a mistake? It's not the end of the world, okay? So I'm out there to say, get things, set up your environment, set up your friggin' body, set up your jewelry. What will you do when you're moving your hands, your body in a way that when you look down, you see that tattoo, it reminds you to be straight edge. You see that ring and it inspires you to walk your path. You see that DNA necklace that you've got on Oxycontin or on dopamine or serotonin. It reminds you to be happy, to do good work, to feel love, to feel calm. But what are your anchors? What are your symbols? Are they crosses, stars of David, some other religious paraphernalia that means something to you? Your wedding ring, what does that mean to you? But look at the symbols that you already have on your own person. What do they mean to you? Are they empowering? If they are, beautiful, good stuff. You're already ahead of the gang. Are they disempowering? Well, I'm bringing around this, I'm wearing this ring of my ex-husband who cheated on me, and I'm just wearing it because it's expensive, but every time I look at it, it makes me feel shitty. Then maybe sell the fucking ring, okay? Because you're in complete control of the anchors or these symbols that you carry around with you. So have ones that inspire you, that look good, that are part of your own character, but move you to the next level and remind you when times get tough to stay on that right path for you. Take some time. Put together some stuff. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be permanent like a tattoo if you don't want. But get stuff that sets you up for success, that reminds you on who you are and why you're going down this path and what it's all about to get you through those darker times. Also, when I do change work with people, one of the processes that is very, very powerful, I usually do this in the first or second session with people, is taking the symbol, the representation of their problem, and changing it to something unconsciously that is still a symbol that represents their solution. This is stuff that people do inside their head unconsciously in hypnosis. It just automatically happens, and that symbol that I don't even ever find out because they're doing it inside their head then becomes every reason why this change is going to stick in place, why they are going down this new path, why they now are empowered. So the old symbol morphs into the new symbol and just changes everything. It is a game changer. You can do that with your own change work inside your mind, or if you work with me. But symbols are so fucking important in our lives, folks. So choose the symbols that empower you, that make you stronger, and replace them. Change them and replace the old negative symbols perhaps kept you stuck, kept you lost, kept you going down a path that you didn't want. Because of those things you are in complete and total control of. So take an inventory of your symbols and symbols that you want, whether they be some paraphernalia, jewelry, whether they be stuff you want to conjure up inside your head, if you want to have some ink on your body. But do that. characterize it, customize it, make it you. Don't copy me, someone else. Be you. Be you. The stuff that means something for you, as my stuff means something for me, and I've shared those stories with you today. If you'd like to receive a special report, which is 3 ways how to discover your own symbols and how to create them and have a life filled with freedom, then shoot me over an email at mail, M-A-I-L, at LUKENOSIS, LUKENOSIS.com. All those links will be in the signature of this. And as I always like to say, I've been Hypnopunk. This has been another episode of Unstuck with Hypnopunk. Always believe.